assertive on that penetration. Prompt, some instruction. Now what's the most important element of praise, prompt and leave? Leave. Not leave and go and get a cappuccino. But in that, hey, really good read on the closeout. Just when you penetrate the score. You got to stop yourself doing this. Do you understand? Of course he understands. It's the most simple instruction known to man. You understand? You know, and what a kid's, yeah. And then you look at, why has he got bad body language? He's got bad body language because we're asking him dumb questions. Just give him the prompt and then move to the next person. Doesn't mean that we don't coach him again, but we get to the next thing. You guys need a drink? Are you okay? You think I need a drink? You think after all these years, Kerry would get me a drink, knowing how I move around the floor, but that's okay too. All right. So let's move to this now. So I'll do it. Let's offense and defense in the corner. Quick. Help defender, someone on the other side. I don't care if you're diagonal or corner, you're just somewhere. Corner. Alright? Now, so what's going to happen, you've seen this before, we'll move through quickly because it's a progression drill. You're going to come, mate. You're going to rip and go, and you've got to touch, you've got to give me 5. So we're creating a momentary advantage. You're ripping and going. Now we're making a decision. Now, one thing we haven't spoken about is decision making on defense. You know, all this makes people make decisions on defense. Thanks, mate. All right. So in this situation, we might have stay and go. So as on that penetration, Indy might rotate hard and say, go, go, go. And then all Shanice has got to realise that she's got to find Runo and we're playing. All right, so you got a two-way teach. We haven't done a lot of it in this clinic because we're trying to move at warp speed, because I know that the Marlins coach is a really ornery guy, and if we go 1 minute over, it'll be a disaster. It'll be like 25 years ago revisited. All right, here we go. Good, good, good girl. Play. Okay. And again, you've got to celebrate the small wins. So some have got it here. Shanice has a touch here, and she got her off in one dribble. You see that? Right? That's the other part of it. You celebrate that. That's like phenomenal defense. Athlete, and she's still able to get that. All right? Here we go. Where's the ball? Ball's here. Play. So as we flesh this out, surprisingly, what's the one element of the game that this group's not doing very well? Yeah, communication. And the reason I say surprising, I'm being sarcastic, you know, I think this is my 27th clinic in the 8th Satan territory this year, and it's the same every time. They just don't talk. Because they get so caught up playing the drill and trying to be compliant, they just don't talk. So I don't know who helped defensively on that last play. Was that you? You did a really good job, but no one knew about it, right? You've got to share the wealth, all right? Now, the next thing is we've got to talk about reading closeouts. Because the ultimate decision is the shot, pass, drive decision. That's the ultimate decision in all the basketball. Forget 2-on-1, 3-on-2. Every one of your players needs to have high-level skills on shot, pass, drive decisions in the modern game, all right? So that, you shot an air ball because it was a bad shot, it was God punishing you, right? It was. He hates bad shot selection, like with a passion. It's a long closeout, there's spring, and this is the other thing, when we teach split kick extra, it's a concept, it's not a set of rules. You see kids, you know, they've got me closing out to them, and they throw the extra. What would be the smart play if I'm closing out to Indy? for her to rip my, you know what, and get on the rim. Right? So you've got to let them be players as well. So we're going to add some talk. Now, the way we're going to do that is we're going to talk our task. We talk to our kids about talk your task. And what it means is every time you do something, you verbalise what you're doing. So as stats comes out, all right, you're ripping it, so what do you think you're saying? Can you score? No, good answer. Listen to what I'm saying now. You're ripping it, and I want you to talk your task. What should you say? Rip, all right? You're saying recover, yep, high five. You're saying help, shoot it, shot. You pass it, what are you saying? Pass, all right? Now, are they going to do this in a game? No, but you've got to find ways to effectively teach communication. So we talk to our kids all the time about talk your task. And you guys would know it if you go to Taipans games or you see Taipans practice. That's the best place to learn. They're all elite talkers. Like Loughton, elite talker. You know, Nate, they're elite talkers. Because you don't survive as a pro unless you do that. So we've got to help them with that skill. Ball's hit. Play. Good close out, Andy. Good. How much better was that? All right? And that was a great closeout. All right? That's a really good closeout. So now, of course, we always want to add. I'm a big believer that you don't want to stay in the same drill or concept any longer than 8 minutes. Right? And some people will argue that, but I think it's important. And in that 8 minutes, you probably want to move sequentially through 2 or 3 different settings. Right? Now that might be just from a different spot. Right? So I might stand here now, and you've got to come and get it. Come, right? Like it's a get. So you get it, you rip it. So you just do it from a different spot. Just give yourself a little checklist that you don't always do the same drills from the same spot. Because that's not the game. Cuts happen from different spots. So, Indy, you're the diagonal now. And now we're playing. So, you know, you're ripping, you're recovering, you're doing a great job of talking, you've been an elite teammate. You guys are making really good decisions on closeouts. Your whole world's about shot, pass, drive decisions. Ideally, if it sticks to one of you, we want an extra. But if it's a really bad closeout and you can think layup, think layup. It's a little bit different. With our Centre of Excellence men's program, in practice, in games, different. They don't allow repenetration because they're trying to teach and they're trying to embed it. I'm a little bit different. And the probably the reason I'm a little bit different, I never lose any games. I'm the best coaching job in the world. I just talk all this and it all works because they do as they're told and there's no real defence and we don't actually have an opponent. So, but I'm a big believer in if you're going to teach decision making, you can't force her to make a decision. Does that make sense? So we teach her, again we coach the player, we don't coach the game. We teach her the concept of split kick extra and that we want to give up a good one for a great one, but I don't want to put her in a box that she doesn't use her creativity. All right? Got it? Hold it. What did I just say? You got it? Yeah, they got it. Dumb question. See what I mean? We've got to get out of those habits. Here we go. There must be something about the Statman name. I was here about 18 months ago and we were doing something similar and I said to Cody, would you do that in a game? He goes, no. I said, what'd you do in a game? He goes, I dunked it. I said, well, next time dunk it. Not thinking that he would actually do it. So similar sort of thing, he's ripped it, he's gone in sideways and just dunked on about 3 people. I said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, see? Great coaching. Look where he is now. All right, ready? Let's go. Here we go. Good. Ball. All right. And again, you got to celebrate the small wins. So we had a turnover, we had a deflection. You see her little nuanced movement there? Penetrate, little hesitation, which made an elite pass. Right? And that, you can't, it'd be very hard for me to drill that with her or any of these kids. But now we start playing and there's some naturalness to what they're doing. The only coaching I've got to do is what? Celebrate. Just acknowledge it. They learn from watching them. Right, last one. Good. Good boy. That's fine. All right. Really good job, guys. So how you structure that is your call and how that fits your offensive system and however you want to play the game. But a big one with that is don't always do it from here, because the only penetration is not from the wing to the baseline. You know, the other thing that you can do is to add a constraint, add a variable. All right, set that same thing up now, quickly. You want a level of success, because we know, I don't know if there's any educators in the room, one of the key elements of learning is success. You know, if kids try something a few times and they can't do it, what do? They give up unless you guide them through the learning. It's the same here. So it's a great learning environment because they're going to have success, because really 2 people shouldn't be able to guard 3 people. But that's also not the game. So now, I'll ball slap, you'll lift. If I'm there, your roll is the same. If I'm there, your roll is the same. So now you've got to come around the back, get it. Now it's because while we want to teach split kick extra, it'd be great if they let you drive the whole time, right? But elite defenders don't. Now, in this situation, 2 people shouldn't be able to guard 3 people, but we're forcing another decision and we're just adding a variable. All right? So let's just have a look at that one time. Can coach. No, but, you know, really, again, nuanced playoff penetration. You know, didn't just get it to charge in. That's the other thing that we want to do. When we do it the other way, where she gets to just get it here and just drive in there, that's not what happens in a game. And as we know, sometimes that's a disaster, because they drive in there and they get to about here and go, oh, what am I going to do? If you vary it up a little bit, and Stats did a good job, he squared his shoulders, so now, surprisingly, he came back to your right hand. But, you know, she pretended to go left, and then she came back to her right hand. That's a happy place. But it was off penetration, it was off change of pace, it was nuanced, and now we get perfect split kick extra. All right? And we're not teaching split kick extra. We're teaching basketball. We're teaching decision making. The other advantage in this setting is passing. Think about how the passing has evolved, and it's certainly nothing to do with me and my coaching in this session. How was the passing early? You know, Polly was saying it wasn't great. Oh, it was awful. It was just horrid. First 2 possessions, 2-on-1, throw it into the hands. How's the passing now? Not only is it on time, on target most of the time, but it's quite creative, isn't it? You know, that last place is come here, look here, and then through that. Really nice passes. We were watching that on Friday night in the QBL. That's what we want to do. It's really hard to teach passing, but you can certainly play passing as much as you can. The other thing that we want to do in decision making is off the pick and roll. And that's a whole nother clinic, but we'll have a bit of a look at that now. There's more pick and rolls now than there has ever been before. You know, if you watch an NBL game, you watch an NBA game, you know, it's each team setting. Well, I think, you know, in the last series, Toronto and Milwaukee, both teams averaged over high 60s in pick and roll, high 60s. Right, average. So in some games they've probably set 80 pick and rolls. Right now, so it's part of the game. Making decisions in that environment is really challenging. You know, I met with a coach yesterday from Japan, and we were talking about when we should allow young players or teach young players to play off the pick and roll. And we both agreed under 12s, just not at all. If we're going to make them better, pass and cut and space and right hand, left hand, 14s a little bit, and then open slather from there. All right? But the hardest thing with the decision making is the screener. If you look in the NBL right now, and you guys have had one here last season, you've got elite pick and roll players with the ball in their hand. Look at all those guards. You know, Mello was here. Where obviously Bryce Pop, you know, all those guys are really gifted with the ball. The teams that are really good and the players that are really hard are the screeners that can extricate and make good decisions. Right? We spend a lot of time refining what's happening with the person with the ball. We don't give the tools to the other guys. So we're just going to play out of this. I just call it Hornets pick and roll, and the only reason I call it that is I saw it at a Charlotte Hornets shoot around. I thought that's a good drill, and so I'm not very bright, so I could remember Hornets pick and roll. Right, so we've got ball up here. Actually, you come up here, just slightly off